book 3 to 17 calls daily for your marketing agency by using Singularity Mode. Okay, if you're serious about scaling, you gotta watch this video. Who am I? My name is Hamza. I scaled my first marketing agency to $2 million over the span of a few years. I delegated, automated, and eventually exited that agency. And now what I do is I have a boutique marketing agency where I only work with a handful of clients, and they're all spending hundreds and thousands of dollars every single month that I personally manage with my small team. Less clients, larger margins. That's what I do right now. And over the last 5 years, I've been traveling around the world with my wife and my kids. It's my family over here. I currently live in Panama. Everything that I'm sharing with you is battle tested, it's proven, and I want you to benefit from it. So how does this really work on getting these calls? Okay, well, you gotta understand, right, back in the day when I was running my first agency for local ads, right now I don't really run that many ads anymore because I work with a smaller client base and my prospecting methods have changed. But back then, where this is relevant is I was going after roofing contractors and I was running paid ads, and man, I was just sick and tired of getting these like really unqualified leads, and I was using the same ads as my competition. I was wondering why they weren't working, and they were telling me that it was working. Well, what you got to understand is that there's something that happens before you actually run creatives on Meta. You got to figure out exactly what your audience is. So that's what I'm going to focus on right now in the first part of this video. Look, whenever we start running ads, we want to first figure out in phase one of our advertising who is our audience. Okay, and you know, an example of this would be interests, right? So interests would be around how, okay, people that are interested in business, people that are interested in finance. If you're going after roofing contractors, people that are interested in like Home Depot, ABC Supply, maybe they're interested in ladders and drills and hammers. You know, these are all just, I'm spitballing right now, but you would put those all together into a interest stack. Okay, now another audience that you may want to test is, you may want to test broad. Okay, that means that all you put in is English, you select the ages, and that's it. You let Facebook figure out the rest. That's been a very powerful audience for me. Okay, interest audiences, broad audiences, but really what I love going after are custom lists. Okay, a custom list is where you'd go to something like an Upwork, or you go to Fiverr. You basically get someone to scrape a list of your prospects. Primarily what you're looking for is a name, phone number, and email. Name plus phone number, email. These are actually the two most important elements. Because if you go ahead and put that in Facebook, I'm trying to make the Meta logo over here. Something like that. Anyways, you put that into Meta, what you can do is you can actually find people, that's a face, you can find people that match with either the email or the phone number. Now you can actively target people with Facebook ads rather than cold emailing them or cold calling them or cold DMing them. But here's the better thing. You can create a fourth audience. It's called a lookalike audience. You can tell Facebook, find me people that look like this. So Facebook, with its all-seeing eye, is going to see, okay, what exactly do these people have in common? What are they interested in? What are their demographics? What are their behaviors? And then it's going to find you a large number of people that look a lot like this. And you can target them as well. Now here's the key. After we find 20 conversions, so that's like 20 leads or 20 calls, definitely 20 sales. Just pick either one, right? I mean, obviously you can get more leads than calls than sales, but generally speaking, if you get 20 qualified calls, let's just go in the middle ground over here. With any one of these audiences, then you're in a position to say, hey, with a reasonable degree of certainty, I know that interest works, broad doesn't work, and lookalike definitely works. Because we've got to crack our audience. And then once we've cracked our audience, what we can do is we can start testing different creatives, different images against these audiences. And then when an image does well or an ad does well overall, we know that it wasn't because of the audience, right? The audience was already proven. It is because of the creative. And not enough agencies actually go through the process of testing audiences and figuring out what their winning audience is. And so if all the time we're running new creative and new audiences, then we have way too many variables that we're testing. You know, if we're doing like lead forms, and then we're doing landing pages some days, we got to isolate the variables. And when we isolate the variables and we figure out exactly what audience we want to go after, then guess what happens? What ends up happening is that we have very, very powerful degree of certainty that, hey, these creatives work because we dialed in at the ad set level. And then we dial in our creatives. Again, let's get 20 or more conversions. And then guess what happens? We can start scaling. So what do I mean by scale? This is the holy grail. Right? This is what most agencies are ultimately after. They want to be able to launch a campaign at about $500 to even $2,000 a day. Right? And all you got to do is put in the ad sets, again, audiences that worked. Maybe you have 3 that worked and got those 20 conversions. And then what you do is you say, okay, I'm going to pair that with my top 3 creatives. And then guess what? You can load that amount of budget with confidence because you've tested the audience, you've tested the creative. Let it rip. And this is exactly how we use Facebook's Singularity Mode. Right? Singularity Mode is basically what a lot of people right now call campaign budget optimization. It's where at the campaign level you can literally just set the actual budget, and it's gonna spend on whatever ad sets and ads it deems it wants to actually spend on. So I would highly recommend spending some time on audiences. If you don't know which creative to use, just use 2 of your best creatives thus far. Okay, you can run these at $25, $50, $75 a day, and just get a bunch of conversions under your belt so you can check this box off. And then everything you launch in the future, creative-wise, is going to be to these winning audiences. And then eventually, once you've got enough creatives that do well consistently, then you can scale them. You can put on the campaign budget level. You can put, as I said, 2,000. We have campaigns that are running at like $5,000, $10,000 a day, right? So this stuff works. Meta has made it really, really easily, but you have to do the groundwork of finding these 2 things first. So if you want to learn more about exactly how to do this, join the SMMA fraternity. Link is in the description or the top comment over here. I personally do live office hours where I do Q&As with anyone that has client acquisition trouble. So I hope I'll see you in there. Much love. Peace.